Hi guys, so this is just going to be a really spontaneous video, another quick spontaneous video to update you on what I'm doing and what's going on and stuff like that, because I keep planning to sit down in front of a proper camera and do a video, and I have no time, as I've just been saying in another clip that I'm going to add onto this. This is going to be an intro. Yeah, I have no time, I am super busy, so these little random spontaneous videos are going to be where it's at for the moment, and probably mostly done on my phone, but you know, hey, that's what we're doing. That's what's working for me. So before I start rambling about that workshop that I kind of mentioned, and you know what's going on for me in college and thinking about like my thesis and stuff, just wanted to share this book because it was just sitting on the arm of my couch, and I've just started reading this, and so far it's absolutely fantastic. And this kind of thing is something that I think a lot of spiritually inclined, paganish people really enjoy reading, and it's like not obviously connected to spirituality at all, and in fact the author actually makes some pretty dubious, like atheistic assumptions. He makes statements that are sort of presumptuously atheistic in a really weird sort of Western. That's like my only criticism of it. It's this like super like you know, dominant Western paradigm of atheism and, you know, scientific positivism kind of stuff. That would be my only criticism. He's just sort of assuming that this is the only, that, you know, this is the only possible truth that anyone could possibly believe in, that kind of thing, you know what I mean? Like nowadays we are all atheists because we know the gods don't really exist. But I can let him away with that. I can just let that go because it's not a central argument to his book or anything. It's just sort of casually dropped in, you know, whenever he mentions gods and the fact that gods don't really exist and that kind of thing, and I'm like, oh, whoa there, cowboy. But this happens to me a lot when I read popular science. So, you know, I'll let him away with it. He's not as obnoxious about it as a lot of people actually tend to be. But anyway, yes, so this is just a very rambly way of saying that I started reading this book, and it's very, very good. And it's probably going to take me like the rest of the year to read it because I have no time to read books that aren't in my course, honestly. But as I'm about to talk about in the next piece of the video, I'm hoping that actually when I'm doing my thesis, especially when I'm doing if I do a PhD, I'm hoping that it'll be a great excuse for me to actually just read a whole hell of a lot of books on paganism and whatnot. So yeah, that's about it. Just wanted to share that with you because this book is exciting and really excellent, and I've heard a lot of people rave about it, and I'm yeah, really enjoying it so far. And it's nice to read something that's written in kind of layman's terms that actually isn't about religion, you know, because the rest of my life is like, let's just define religion or not, because it's not really a thing. Some seashells recently when I was out in Musselburgh, which is kind of out the seaside near Edinburgh, for the day, and I brought them home, and then I forgot that they were in my bag. And this one, which was sort of a gorgeous blue, it had broken by the time I actually remembered that it was in my bag. And at first I was kind of upset, and then I was like putting them on my altar, and I suddenly realised that it's actually really kind of apt. Because I was like, where am I going to put them on my altar? And it's like one on each side, and I was like, oh, the broken one can go on this is my destruction side of the altar. This is where I put my dark stuff, like Kali and my obsidian egg and my onyx egg. So my broken shell goes on this side, and then the whole one goes over here with my, you know, Russian doll and my fluorite and my my dragon egg. That's my my Bialtana sea ocean stone that my dad gave me. So yeah, I just wanted to show you that because it's very I nearly said oniv. That's the Irish word for rare. I must be really tired if I'm starting to mix up my languages. It's very rare for me to add anything new to my altar, so I just thought I would show you that. And yeah, so rather frustratingly, this is my second take of this video. So I'm going to try and do it even faster than the last time. What keeps happening is my battery runs out. So this is going to be another really spontaneous video because I have even less time on my hands these last couple of weeks than I did when I first moved here. And I realised that if I keep waiting to take out my proper camera, I'm just not going to make a video until like Christmas. So Quick update on what I've been doing and whatnot. First of all, I kind of rather tantalizingly mentioned a workshop on the Morrigan in the last video and then never made that video, and I've just realised that I don't think I'm going to get around to making any sort of lengthy discussion of that, and also I don't really want to, for various reasons that I'll get into in a minute. But what that workshop that I discussed was, I actually had the opportunity to go and meet Morpheus Ravenna, and if you don't know who she is the author of the Book of the Great Queen, which is a book that I reviewed fairly recently. So if you go back through my recent videos of the last couple of months, you should find that. She's just an amazing woman. She is a priestess of the Morrigan, and she has basically written what I see as the only book that I have how to say this nicely. She has written the book on the Morrigan that I would suggest to everyone to go and buy and read and use. I would very much recommend it over any other of the kind of pagan, like practice-oriented books that you could possibly pick up, or just in general, actually, even any books at all that just specifically written about the Morrigan, because there are not a whole lot out there. There's not a whole lot of material out there just devoted solely to her. So essentially, there is one of my YouTube subscribers, and I'm not going to name her because, I haven't asked her permission or whatever, but if you're watching this, you know who you are, obviously. She actually has moved to Edinburgh too. She is doing a master's in a different subject altogether, but it just so happened that, when I decided to come here and do my master's, she was also deciding to come here and do a master's too. So after I moved here, after a few days, we met up for the first time, to whatever it was, eat lunch and meet each other and say hi and, chat in person. And we were talking about the Morrigan because she worships the Morrigan as well, and she said to me, I'm going to this workshop with Morpheus Ravenna in Newcastle on Saturday. Do you want to come? So obviously I said, yes, please. Sign me up. So it was just a very, very spontaneous, I didn't know that this was happening. I knew that Morpheus was going to be in Ireland with the, I can't remember what it's called now, but it's sort of a cult of the Morrigan, that she is a member of, and they were kind of going to be doing a tour of Ireland, of the sacred places sacred to the Morrigan. I knew that, but I didn't realise that they were actually going to be in the UK, and especially in Newcastle, because Newcastle is only maybe an hour and a half train ride away from Edinburgh. So we went and did that, and it was actually... so what it consisted of was that we kind of got a train to Newcastle, and then we'd no idea where we were going, we just had an address, and it turned out to be this lovely lady's house, and we basically just turned up. It was like a scene out of Harry Potter. It was amazing. We just turned up in this gorgeous quiet little street, and arrived at the door, and just kind of this lovely lady welcomed us in, and we went upstairs to the living room, and all these people just started filing in. And it was just a bit of a workshop. So Morpheus talked about the Morrigan and her poetry, and then we did a group ritual, and that was actually my first experience of group ritual, or any sort of group pagan group spiritual practice that I had ever taken part in. So that was big, that was huge for me, that was a really, really big deal, and I couldn't be more happy with the context in which that actually happened, because I don't think I ever thought that I would be able to immerse myself so much in a ritual and to actually get into that ritual mindset as effectively as I did, with a group of people who I'd never met before. But I think it was just because it was such a small group and so intimate, and we had the chance to all sit around and talk about the Morrigan beforehand, and it was just even being in a room with about a dozen other people, all who worship her, and to be able to just be in that energy, I think, it was really moving, and it was just really profound, and I think it probably was quite a special kind of group ritual. I mean, like I say, I have nothing to compare it to, but I have to imagine that a lot of the time these kinds of things fall a bit flat, or, that just the energy between people isn't quite right, that people are just not relaxed enough to kind of really get into that place, into that zone. But it was really, really amazing. really profound. And I'm not going to run out looking for more rituals now because of that, because I feel like for me it's always going to be group ritual like that will probably always be a sort of secondary thing to my practice, and something that I will only partake in if something special like that just comes along, that I feel like, yes, this is something that I really want to go and do. But that was really profound for me, and it was an amazing experience to have so quickly after coming to Edinburgh as well, because we had only been here, me and this other woman had only been here, living here for a week, and all of a sudden we were like getting this train together to the city we'd never been to go to this workshop and ritual in the Mohegan with all these other people we'd never met before. And it was just, and Morpheus, who we like follow online, I read her blog, and it was to meet her in person and meet all these other wonderful people. It was really surreal, and it started to really solidify for me that, being here in Edinburgh is really something that is really necessary for me at this time, if you know what I mean, that it's just the right place at the right time, which is kind of what I was talking about in my last video. So I don't think I'll talk about it in any great detail other than that, because I don't want to talk too much about the ritual or the people or anything like that, because it's quite a private thing, and I don't want to intrude on anyone's privacy, and I feel like the ritual itself and describing anything that happened in it wouldn't be appropriate. But it was a really profound experience, really, really profound, and I feel like my relationship with the Mohegan is ready to kind of take another step up, but unfortunately I haven't really had the time to spend in sacred space. I've been doing a shortened morning daily practice, and that's been the extent of it, like a 10-15 minute practice, and that's been all that I've been able to kind of shove into my day so far, because it's all been so manic. But of course the rest of my life at the moment really is just my college course, and when I made this video just a minute ago, when it got too long and cut off, I was talking about like my courses and how we're just like really just focusing on theories of religion in this semester. I mean, this is kind of just because of the courses I've ended up taking. It's kind of just the way it's worked out that this semester I'm really just focusing on theory and method and that kind of stuff. And I'm not going to lie, it's kind of overwhelming. I mean, in some ways it's really fascinating, and it's opening up ways of thinking about religion that I would never have even considered before. I had no idea that the category of religion in general was so contentious. I mean, I was aware that it's a pretty slippery word, that it's not totally clear, and especially when people start using it as something separate to spirituality and stuff like that. I was aware that all of that was kind of problematic, but I had no idea the extent to which you could actually ruminate on and argue about what the word actually means. And I've got to the point now where I think the theorist I agree with most basically disagrees entirely that religion is even a thing, and sees it as sees the whole religious and secular binary thing as being an ideological construct of Western society. And I'm definitely kind of agreeing with that now, but that makes things very complicated, because I've got to a point now where I'm like, I don't know how I can talk about religion if I think it's not really a thing. So that's interesting, and I'm doing an essay on that soon, and it's difficult. Like it's at first I was doing quite well with my seminar sheets and stuff, and now I think it's really hitting home that I don't have any background in religious studies, and it is a bit of a catching up game. But this is kind of feeding into my thoughts on my thesis and what I'm going to be doing my PhD on, and I think I've kind of in a way just decided not to try and play the catch up game anymore. Like, I'm never going to write a thesis on a theory of religion, because I don't have the academic background. There's no point in me trying to catch up on that stuff, and that's just not my area of interest anyway. If it was, I probably would have done an undergraduate degree in religious studies. So what I'm looking at now is actually moving more towards actually a sort of interdisciplinary kind of English literature and religious studies thing. And I know I mentioned before that I'm thinking of doing a thesis on the Mohegan, and I'm still considering that, but I think originally I thought, like, oh, religious studies, if I do the Mohegan, I have to do sort of ethnography, I have to do field work, and, watch people do their, observe people doing their religious practice and do interviews and questionnaires and that kind of stuff. And that just really doesn't flick my switch at all. And then I kind of realised that maybe I don't have to do it that way, or certainly not only that way. So now what I'm thinking about is that I actually want to do a textual analysis. And I think I want to do I think with the Mohegan I might just do, I haven't figured it out quite yet, but with the PhD proposal I'm thinking of focusing on the dark goddess and doing a sort of textual analysis of maybe a certain period or a certain type of text around paganism, probably specifically kind of feminist Wicca and feminist kind of goddess-oriented paganism, particularly anything that kind of covers the dark goddess, that touches on the dark goddess in a serious way. So I want to kind of have a look at that and tie in the concept of restoring and kind of post-colonial and postmodern and feminist theory, literary theory. So this is all stuff that I did for my undergraduate. So this is kind of where I'm at right now, and I think I might augment that with interviews with devotees, probably of the Morrigan. I'm thinking that I might look at the Morrigan as a sort of like case study, just because she is sort of a face of the dark goddess who is getting a lot of interest, who, you know, a lot of people are following at the moment. So I think that's a good way of looking at the dark goddess as, you know, how she manifests and how people are actually engaging with her on a sort of working with a particular deity kind of level. So I'm going to flag that now and just going to say, I don't think obviously I won't want to interview anybody who I kind of know personally, but at some point along the line, just to let you guys know that I will be wanting to do academic interviews with people who worship the Morrigan. So if any of you are amenable to that, if anyone knows any groups in the UK who worship the Morrigan, anything like that, and you just want to get in touch with me and just let me know, definitely just let me know that. It won't be happening for quite a while, but just kind of want to flag that, because I'm probably going to do the Morrigan stuff for my master's thesis, and then that'll become like a chapter of my PhD thesis, if you see what I mean. So that's just what's going on for me right now. Sorry, this video is probably I hope I've actually had it focused on my face for, like, you know, camera ran out of battery there, but I decided that I am actually going to edit bits of this video together anyway. But I was basically just finishing up talking about my research ideas, and yeah, I'm going to be putting out a call to action more seriously on that stuff about the Morrigan, and looking for just trails really for you guys to send me on in terms of talking to people. And you know, I still don't know what my research is going to actually look like, but I just thought I would, you know, flag it and let you guys know. And just if you want to be throwing anything my way, then please do. I can't guarantee that I will actually ever talk to you or interview you or read the thing you send me or anything, because, you know, no time, and my research might take me another direction. But certainly if you guys want to get on board and just, I don't know, just any comments that you have to make would be really, really welcome. I think that's about it, really. Do I have anything else to add? Not really. I mean, I was kind of hoping that I'd have more to talk about, that I would be kind of talking about my own spiritual ideas in terms of the theories that I'm reading about and stuff like that. And honestly, a lot of that hasn't really been coming into play for me, particularly with regard to my own spirituality. It's some of my own theories of religion and how I'm going to approach researching religion and the aspects of religion that I'm interested in. A lot of that has been kind of solidifying for me, but not in a way that I felt really translates itself into a video or translates itself into kind of my own personal beliefs or practices or anything like that. I think that will probably change next semester when I'm studying New Age spirituality and doing a module on kind of Celtic, Scottish ethnology type stuff, like Celtic communities. But for the moment, yeah, nothing has really grabbed me. But I mean, if I do have the time to make kind of a proper video at some point, I will actually take out some of my notes, because every time I have an idea or a thought or get excited about something I read, I start scribbling down notes, and I'm kind of collecting those notes. So at some point I might like pick a note and just talk about it to you guys. But for the moment, my brain just shut down at some point midday today and just went, no, not going to think anything interesting or academic or smart for the rest of the day. So, yeah, so I think I'm pretty much at the end of my day now. I was hoping to do some yoga before I go to bed, and it's either clean my kitchen or do yoga. I don't know, guys. This is the life of the academic. I had forgotten why I enjoyed having a 9-to-5 there for a minute. It's fine. Plenty of time for sleep when I have my PhD.